out 2 or 3 times in this book. It means a command word. When her authority figure, her caregiver, her parental father figure, Mordecai, when he gives her a ma'amar, she has to heed what he says. In the beginning was the ma'amar, memra, in Yohanan chapter 1 verse 1, in the beginning was the ma'amar, and the ma'amar became flesh. Chapter 1 verse 14. And you see Mordecai, you see him out there in the courtyard, pacing back and forth. He wants to find out what's going to happen. And he's very concerned about this pogrom, this genocide, this Holocaust that's on its way. This evil Haman figure, which we have in the world right now. And he wants to know what's going to happen with his Esther, and he wants to know what's going to happen with his people. And since 1971, I've been out in the street, pacing back and forth, preaching as a street preacher, wanting to know, when is the revival among the Jews going to come? And of course, we did get a little revival out there in Los Angeles. It was quite astounding. I mean, Moshe Rosen even came down to check it out. But that wasn't it. There's more to come. We have to be Mordecai's, friend. Most evangelical believers don't even pay any attention to this book. But they need to. Vashti did not keep herself in the love of the king. And she missed out. Can you imagine? Here she was, a queen. And now she can't even get in the presence of the king anymore. She's locked out. You got to think again about this, Vashti, about your decision to not answer the call of Moshiach HaMelech. When he calls you, you better come, lest he, dismiss you from his presence forever. A lot of people are playing games with Moshiach right now. They're not doing what those girls were doing. Listen, those girls were making themselves ready. They were making their calling sure. They were, all kinds of cosmetics and rubbings and all kinds of preparations to go before the king. Listen, we must all stand before the judgment seat. We all have to go before the king, but we got to get ourselves ready. He's looking for a bride without spot or wrinkle. And the unseen hand of Elohim Ha'av is there in the book of Esther. He's also in your life. Now, here we are in a wicked country. The transgender tattooed Americans are demurring. They're pulling a little Vashti. They're being called, but they're not answering the call. The clock is ticking. Vashti's in her dressing room. The king is calling her. Is she going to come out or not? He wants to see the crown on her head. He wants to see her beauty. He wants her out there in front of his nobles. She's not coming. There are barefoot Africans that are streaming into the kingdom right now. There are Chinese people in underground congregations that are streaming into the kingdom right now. But in America, we have this Vashti, a Vashti country. Listen, the chosen bride is Tav Het Tav instead of Vashti. Esther chapter 2, verse 4. You remember that parable that Yeshua gives about the great banquet? The people are invited. All these Vashtis are invited, and all these Vashtis make excuses, and they won't obey the call. So what does the king do? He goes out into the highways and byways, and he brings all these people in. The maimed, the blind, the refuse of society, the people in the prisons, the people that nobody wants. And they take their place. And in this book, there is a general call into all the provinces. Bring me the beautiful women. This woman doesn't want to be queen, apparently. She's not compliant. And so we're gonna have her replaced. Just as Moshiach replaced us. Friend, it says, all we like sheep have gone astray. He was wounded for our transgressions. His nephesh replaced our nephesh. None of those who were invited but demurred will taste my dinner. That's what the parable says. Go back and read Luke chapter 14, verses 15 to 23. And think about this. God can show his wrath